in the sense of like salvation, predestination, just understanding the nature of God. How do we reconcile that God is all good if he created, let's say, Satan, knowing that he was going to fall, or Adam and Eve, he created the tree of good and evil, knowing that they were going to eat of it? And I guess those are some examples in which he's creating things knowing that there's something evil coming about them.
Yeah. All right. So one line of response there, Brandon, would be to start with, would be the idea that we first have to get straight that whatever evil is part of this order of providence is not caused by God, but is permitted by God. And so, of course, that would raise the question, can God be all good and yet still permit evil? Well, traditionally, and I think this is right, we would answer yes, insofar as God wills to order or direct the permitted evil to some greater good. And we can know that philosophically because given that God is omnipotent, there is no good that he cannot bring about. To state it positively, God can bring about any good that he wants, given his omnipotence, and direct a permitted evil to that greater good. And so that would be the first question that we would ask. So we see that God's permission of evil doesn't count against his goodness. He can still be all good and will to permit some evils in this order of providence, and punishment be proportionate to that free abuse, that abuse of free will, and that free rejection of him, and that punishment being hell. Okay, but this, of course, pushes the question back one step, which is what you're asking. Is it possible for God to be all good and create or will an order of providence where he's going to permit some to fall and engage in sinful behavior? I would answer yes. I think that God still can be all good and will an order of providence that's going to involve him permitting some evils. And here's one possible answer, which I think is sufficient, namely that the very existence, Brandon, of the devil himself, all of those spiritual beings who rejected God and or cohorts with the devil, and even the very existence of human beings that sin and fall, that is good. Insofar as these creatures exist, that existence is good, thereby a manifestation of the source of goodness, which is God himself. Secondly, consider this. The very action itself, whenever we engage in sin, Brandon, there's something positive there. I'm actually doing something, okay? I'm actually utilizing my will. I'm making a free choice. All of that positive stuff, philosophically, we know that's being caused by God. I can't do anything unless God is causing me to engage in that behavior, right? If God didn't cause me to use my free will, I wouldn't be using my free will. However, where the sin lies is my deviation from reason or God's design and law, and voluntarily engaging the behavior with that disorder, okay, and not considering God's law for the human behavior. That sin, right, that evil in the behavior, that's something God permits. But the activity itself, Brandon, that the use of my free will and the choice that I'm making, that's God causing it. That's a good. And so that is a manifestation of the source of goodness, namely God himself. And so we can see here how you can have God, who is all good, will an order of providence where he's going to permit some evils precisely because those very evils cannot be unless they're parasitic on or presupposing other good things that are manifesting God's goodness. And so with those two things in place, that first principle I articulated, it is not contrary to God's goodness to permit moral evil or sinful behavior. And then secondly, that with that permission of moral evil or sinful behavior, that's assuming other good things that God is causing and good things that manifest God's goodness. And so we can see how that would be reconcilable with our belief that God is all good. And so those would be at least two lines of response that we could begin articulating or constructing or explaining in order to reconcile our belief in God as all good, and not only his permission of moral evil, but his willing and order of providence where he will permit moral evil.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this Catholic Answer, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out our live streams Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific. Or find the episode after on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, or our Catholic Answers app.